Hey, my friend, it's Dr. Anthony Balduzzi, and I want to welcome you back to another episode here on the Fit Father Project podcast. In just a moment, you're going to hear a powerful and inspiring conversation between myself and one of our Fit Father program members, Roberto Santos. Now, as Roberto openly admits in this conversation, when he joined our Fit Father Project program, he was just looking for a way to lose some weight, and maybe even a quick way to lose some weight and then go back to his old habits. But what Roberto didn't realize he was signing up for was a complete transformation of not just his physical body and losing 35 plus pounds and getting ridiculously strong, but he also achieved an incredible transformation in his mindset, in how active he is now as a parent, and how spiritually connected he feels, and how he's able to perform and work and just feel on fire with his life. And ultimately, there's transformation that Roberto recounts in this incredible story is what happens to many guys when they get their health and fitness on point. And it opens up this entire new world of life and a new way of healthy living. So if you're someone out there who is on your Fit Father journey, you need to listen to Roberto's story because it's going to give even more wind in your sails. If you're someone who's looking to get started at losing some weight and needs some inspiration, listen to Roberto's story because as he says, when he started this program, he had the worst mindset on the planet. He had tons of obstacles to overcome. And in his own words, if he can do it, anyone can do it. So listen to this conversation today between myself and Roberto Santos, another amazing Fit Father transformation story. All right, Roberto, welcome officially to the Fit Father Project podcast, my friend. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thanks, Dr. Ray. A real honor and really humbled to be here. So thank you.
Yeah, I know this is going to be a really wonderful conversation. And I know you have a lot to share about how this program impacted your life. And to kick things off, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to everyone listening, all the Fit Fathers, Fit Mothers, your name, your age, where you live, and maybe where you're from too, because everyone loves that accent of yours, and a little bit about your family, work, et cetera, whatever you'd like to share on that front.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am 43 years old. I am from Spain, but moved to the US a year ago to work here in a large American corporation. And I have two daughters who are 5 and 9 years old, and my wife, which is my rock and what holds everything together. So we are, living the American adventure, let's say. So yeah, that's a bit about us.
And so what prompted you to seek out to improve your health and fitness and start this journey? I know you're very busy with your work and your life, but what prompted you to seek out Fit Father Project and start to make some changes with your health?
Yeah, so I had been doing, tons of diets, right? I basically gained a lot of weight at my 18 years old because I broke my knee, and I had no nutrition knowledge, no formal, training knowledge, and I just ate everything I wanted, right? So then I stopped sports totally, and then, I ballooned basically in 1 year, and then from then on, I started doing diets, but just, they give you a piece of paper, you just follow it with no understanding, and the weight just came up and down, right? So fast forward to now, what happened was that, I was, to be honest, kind of about to throw the towel and say, look, I'm 43 years old and, there is nothing much to do and this is it. But, I was Googling and I Googled and I said, is it possible to build muscle mass after 40? And I thought that the only answer was going to be, by taking exogenous testosterone or steroids, let's say, because, your body wasn't able to produce. And that's how I bumped into the Fit Father project website. So although I had to lose weight, I was actually looking because, I always had the aim of having a body that you see in the screen and that you like, right?
For sure.
And then I went into the website, I started reading through it, and I was like, wow, that sounds good. And you know what? It's amazing is that I heard your story, and I had been, so this was like a message from God coming, because I had been, seriously speaking, the last 4 years thinking to myself, should I quit my career in the corporation, study nutrition, study personal training, and basically dedicate my life to that, first to fix me and then to help others. And then suddenly I see you and I said, wow, this man has done everything I was dreaming of, and it's him, right? So I said, wow, I need to try this.
Well, I mean, I got chills when you said that. And I think it's so special how life does put certain experiences, people, connections in our paths at the right time. And it seems very special to me that you were seeking this out. And I love that you took this whole journey like full bore and you were able to make this as much of a learning, an immersion experience for you as much as like the physical changes. So take me through a little bit of the beginnings of your journey with Fit Father Project. You start on some of the programs, you sign up. What are some of the first things that you start to change, and how do you start to improve your life using the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started with FF30X, which is the weight loss program. And, there are, I think, two types of people, right? The people who get the instruction manual, study it by heart, and then start, and then the people that start and then go reading the instructions as they go. So I am the latter, right? So I didn't spend 3 weeks, studying. I read, the basics, and I kind of started, right? But I started, I was doing the water, I was doing the shakes, and I had a bumpy ride, right? So mine wasn't, like a kind of flying off like all these other ninja brothers that we have, Werner and Paul and all these people, right? I did the shakes. I was loving the shakes, so I had that as an anchor. But unfortunately, my stomach wasn't tolerating them after a few weeks. At the beginning, it was okay. So then, that kind of disrupted me, right? Because I wasn't sure what to do. And then I had some traveling, which was obviously my challenge, family coming from Europe to visit, but for 6 weeks, right? So that was another bump in the ride. But I still was in the group every day explaining, all my mistakes, etc., and using more things and reading more things and reading all those emails that come every day with knowledge. So I was kind of building myself up. Yeah. That was my initial phase. Even so, I started at 214 and I lost, I think, approximately 10 pounds during that first month, which I was super happy, bearing in mind that I was still kind of, getting my way through it.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good way to start, right? I mean, experientially, you're starting to gain momentum. And I also think it's pretty interesting that you did have a rocky, bumpy start, but you still stuck to it. So my question, that almost begs the question, what was your mission statement when we started the program? What was your why? Like what gave you the commitment to want to stick to it despite the family obstacles, the travel, stomach issues, et cetera?
Yeah, one of the things that I most like about the program is the selling line, fitness, family, faith, right? I came for the fitness part, but I actually ended up valuing most the faith part. And regarding my mission, right? So I was like, I pictured myself, if you would do a drawing of me for the last 15 years, it was like one of those prisoners of the 1800s, which had that big metal ball chained to their ankle, walking. And that was my excessive weight, my bad health, right? That was one of the ones I was carrying with me, and that I never attacked, but I was very successful in other parts of my life, right? And then this actually allowed me to start getting control over that. So not in the first month, it came, more for month 2 and 3, but I started to regain confidence in myself because I kept coming back thanks to the super Facebook group with all the support of the brothers. And I saw that the weight was coming off, and I saw that I was getting stronger. And when you start with the Apex 10, that I was doing, the minimum, which I think it was 10 pounds, and I could do it completely, but from the knees, right? And then I finished, I don't know, with 20 or 25 pounds doing all the Renegade rows properly, and I couldn't do one push-up, right? And just to say that I couldn't do one push-up, and I made the number of the last month of phase 3. So that is 6 months into the program. And I think in 1 month, I did 985 push-ups. So that statistic is just puts a huge smile on my face. It's amazing the changes you've made in just 6 months to go from not being able to do one push-up to almost doing 1,000 push-ups in a month. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, with the famous peak 11s.
Yeah.
So absolutely. So that's a bit of my...
So talk to me about some other changes to your body and the physical changes from going through the exercise. Obviously, you gained a tremendous amount of strength, and I imagine cardiovascular capacity too. What happened on the physical dimension of this? You're improving the nutrition, and you're also starting to exercise more. It's hard when you're starting to exercise. What is your journey like? What's it been like? on the exercise
front? So I started with the Apex 10 really fired up, and then the double troubles and so on, because I actually like weightlifting. I've never done it seriously, but I mean the fact of doing it is just something that I consider fun. I suffer, but what I really hate is cardio, right? Mm-hmm. So at the beginning I was missing those hit days of cardio, and I wasn't doing that like on the first month or even second month. And I think it was started the 14th of October. So I think it was beginning of January. I said, look, I need to start doing these HIIT things, right? So then I started Stairmaster one day, doing the 7 series up and down. And then I started doing the Assault Air Bike also, which was pretty intense because as I have bad knees, I didn't want to go into the running so much. So I did that. And then I felt so fantastic after doing it. I suffered while I did it, but I felt good. And I thought that I had zero cardio capacity. So that was all my bike. I have no cardio capacity. And then it turns out that, we arrived to the end of the program, and I have a 5K with my daughter, and I present myself to do a 5K run without having run, without having trained. And I finished, and my daughter says, look, as you're going to walk, I'm going to go faster. And when she told me that, it was like, kind of, David Goggins talking to me here, you don't know me, son. And I said, okay, daughter, no problem. I started running, and they were stopping, her friend, and I was pulling from them, and took them. And at the end of the race, he said, Daddy, you run faster than me, right? So, and that was, incredible.
Yeah, what a moment that is, for sure. Yeah. And a testament that I think is really special, and it never ceases to amaze me, is how quickly, even in our 40s, 50s, and 60s, that your cardiovascular capacity can improve. I mean, the fact that you can do a peak 11 now, I bet if we went to a high school and took a bunch of high school athletes, only about half of them, would be able to finish that sucker. And you can do that now, which is just a testament to how much great shape you are. And I want to bring something up as a detail that I know that you haven't presented yet, but I also know that you've come up with a new hobby of putting weight on your back and walking around. So tell us a little about your passion to develop with rucking and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so again, one of the great things of the Fit Father project is the Facebook group with all the other brothers. So, I once heard, one of these motivational talks years ago in Spain of a guy who said, if you see someone that is the best at doing something, go to him, get a pen and paper and copy all he's doing. So I did this here. So I basically started contacting by Facebook to all those guys who were, crushing it. And one in particular, Chris Vincent, that you also did the podcast with him. He told me, hey, I'm trying this weighted vest thing and so on. Looked it up. I said, okay, let me buy this thing. Because I said, okay, now I'm doing the Fit Father trainings in the morning, but I felt I wasn't doing anything at night, right?
Yep.
And just walking, I found it like kind of light because I was also getting in good shape. So then I started with the weighted vests. And then the next thing is that I started looking at these Spartan races, Savage races, and so on. And I find a person in my company who's actually the director of the Charlotte Rock Club, Go Rock Club, right? So she invites me to a beginners event, and then I like it, and then I finish going with my rock, going with, training with some military people, that are totally jacked, etc., and doing events with them. Obviously, the light ones, not the heavy ones that they do yet. But yeah, and carrying 20 pounds in my rock, 25 pounds in my vest. That you finish quite contractured, by the way. But obviously, it's a level of exercise doing that 45 minutes every evening that changes completely.
Yeah. And also, I imagine, I know as well that you do this with your family too. So it's a little bit of family time as well at times, right?
Yeah. So the amazing thing is that I started doing the walks in the evening with my daughter, especially sometimes. And that created a bonding that I never had with my daughter until now, because actually in these walks, she explains me all that is worrying her, what she's doing in school. And we never have a conversation like that when we're just home because, she's watching TV or she's doing other stuff. So, so that created a beautiful experience.
That's really special time. I'm really glad that you guys have that. I know that'll be a huge impact on her life and just good habit formation for her as well to get used to doing things like evening walks. I mean, that's setting herself up for a lifetime of health and success, these small little things. Now, I have a question for you. Can you give me like a little bit of a snap picture of like the before and after of your mindset? Like when you started this program, what was your mindset like? Fears, anxieties, thoughts, beliefs? versus where you've kind of gone to now? Because I know this journey is, insofar as you make physical changes, you're making mental, emotional changes as well. So can you give me a little, what was your mindset like when starting the program, and how has it morphed?
And this is a very good question because, when I received the invite for coming here, which was already a honor, but I actually said, I'm actually not sure if I should do it because, there are other brothers who crush it more. So, I am not the role model of the Fit Father project. But then I actually thought in this point and I said, look, if I had the mindset when I started this program and it was so wrong, so totally off, I am sure that I had the worst mindset of anyone who can come into this program. And I have arrived here, right? So my mindset was the following. I was thinking in a diet for a short amount of time to obtain very quick results, to lose a lot of weight, and to try to, have as much cheat meals and basically go back to my old ways. That was a bit of my plan. Short-term oriented, no life change intention, and totally focused in me, myself, and I. Right. So that was how I started. As the program moved on, I started to gain confidence in myself. First, because of the weight loss, and then a bit later because of the workouts, right? The
physical strength, yeah.
Exactly. And as that moved there, then what I started thinking is in the rest of the world, right? So I started thinking in my family first, and I started becoming. I'm a present father, so I spend time with my family, but I wasn't an active present father, right? And for me, the difference is the fact of starting to propose plans and propose plans with a meaning behind it. So let's go and do physical activity together. Let's have dinner. And one thing I did, for example, is start to change whole family habits. Now, white bread has disappeared in my house. There is only Ezekiel bread. My daughters are used to it, and they have Ezekiel bread for breakfast, just to put an example, right? So when the program at the end ended, I said, look, first I need to be well with myself, because if I am not well with myself, I cannot be delivering good things to the rest of the world. Now that I am starting to be, well with myself, I start to have the opportunity to share this with others and try to help either my family or my fellow brothers.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's very powerful. And it is very interesting how, to me in my life experience, it seems like this is once we achieve this level of personal growth or mastery, or for you, which seems like this was something that was on your heart for so much time. And you mentioned you even considered leaving your very great job to even go study this stuff. So this was something that was a deep desire of you to achieve. And once you've achieved this, once our cup is full, we want to share this with others. And I think it's really, I'm grateful that your daughters have you in their life and they get to see and get these changes from an early age. It's going to set themselves up really well. I'm also curious, what was it like for your family to watch you go through this? Your wife, your daughters, like, what have they said, or what have friends said? What's been some of the feedback that you've gotten from your family and your friend group and even people you work with?
Yeah, so with my family, I guess at the beginning, the kids were not basically noticing anything, right? I mean, because I worked out, at 5 a.m, right? So they didn't see me, and in the gym, right? And yeah, they saw I was eating a bit different and so on, but there wasn't. And my wife, I guess, a bit of a skepticism, because I've done 3,000 things before, right? But then she saw it and she saw how it started building, and she was like, this is starting to get serious, right? So then she eventually started adopting also the eating part. And then, when we were 2 or 3 months in, she was like, hey, you need to keep doing this. This is fantastic. You're becoming another person, and so on.
Nice.
Talking of friends, and this is a very important point that I want to say, right? The advantage I had is I had moved from Spain. So I actually had left my, current lifestyle that I was doing there, and I had an opportunity to reinvent myself pretty easily, because
Right.
I didn't have pre-booked 20 dinners in restaurants, right? There was a Fit mother in one of the podcasts that she discussed that her and her husband were foodies, right? They were not doing McDonald's or things. It was my case. I wasn't like doing McDonald's all days. My problem is I was like going to fancy restaurants, but having the sirloin steak with foie, the mashed potatoes, the wine, and so on and so on. And that was And that was how I was. And this is a very tough part to explain. You made me write this in the motivation guide, and I tell you that beat me down for a couple of days in your motivation guide, which is, who do you want to be if you would die, tomorrow? What's your legacy? Something like that, right? Something in that line you were asking, right? So picture what you are and picture what you want to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I've done this a lot of years. I've had a lot of fun socializing, meeting people, going to the best restaurants in the planet, drinking the best wines, and this and that. And I've already done it, and I've already enjoyed it. The rest of my life, I want something totally different. First, because I need my body to stay in shape, because I'm getting older, etc. Second, because I have to be a good example for my kids if I don't want to prolong this generation after generation. And third, because I have to be a better professional and a better leader. And I cannot do that, being the party guy, if you want to call it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like, how have these shifts physically impacted your presence and your experience in the workplace? Have they?
Yeah, I mean, I was there, like 2 weeks ago, and then everyone, 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had like a big event there, and everyone was like, "What happened to you?" Right? So, I mean, they were like completely amazed, getting, and we had made some sweatshirts, etc., from a brand we were launching, and I was, yes, medium size for me, right? And I was the XXL guy, right? So, everyone was, and they asked me, "Hey, what are you doing?" and so on, and I explained them. But yeah, it became pretty obvious.
Talk to me about the importance of the Facebook community. I know you've mentioned it several times, but one of the things I think is unique about the Fit Father program relative to other things is the fact that there's this incredible brotherhood. I mean, you certainly have good nutrition guidance, good exercise guidance, but there's this community of guys that are like on fire, all supporting one another. How instrumental do you think that was in your success?
So for me, that was what kind of saved me, especially in the beginning when I was, messing up, because it was zero judgmental. And the only thing I received is, don't worry, past is past. Focus on what you're doing what you're going to do this afternoon, what you're going to do tomorrow, and just support. And it was the most incredible group. To be honest, I haven't had that support previously when I have tried to do that from not so much from my direct family, but I mean, like, from friends. I always had these challenges of, come on, have a drink, come on, do this, or so people were actually not encouraging me, which was something that didn't help me. And this always kept me on track. And I said, look, if these people believe in me, let's give it a try. Let's give it another day, right? And that's the first part. The second part, once I, overcame that, phase 1, phase 2 of regaining confidence, was just inspiration, right? And learning. So I was learning from everyone, right? So all the ideas they put, the workouts, and also their own personal stories, right? When you hear the podcast of Jesse Lopez, right? His life story, it's breathtaking.
Yeah.
For example, and people who were huge, right, in the program, and then you see the pictures and it's like Photoshop. It's like, this is not the same person, right? So I mean, it's like so it's just like-minded individuals with a common goal together, but especially with a super positive attitude. And definitely your team, Ben, Kat, Craig, and Trina, which give us, let's say, the professional answers to the doubts that we have.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you wanted to give a couple of those people some specific thanks who've been here and really instrumental. Maybe it was Ben, Catherine, Trina, Craig, any of them, anyone you'd like to give a little shout out to here that was really a huge part of your journey, particularly someone on our team.
Yeah, absolutely. So first I want to say Kat. So Kat gets in calls one-on-one, which is also part of the program, which is something amazing, one-on-one coaching. And she basically redirected me in Christmas, where I was having a bit of a crisis in the sense of, I'm not sure if I'm doing this right or wrong. And we went through it and she put me on track. That's one thing. Then the second thing is total support, and understanding. I mean, she's an amazing person, right? So, I mean, it's one, like I say, I mean, you have the ability putting together these amazing people, which is something that you have to explain me one day how you do. And then Ben Sterling, that he's obviously the source of wisdom with all the trainings and nutrition and so on. And he has been really the cornerstone of let's say improving my program all the time, right?
Yeah. All right. So I have a couple closing questions. This has been a really powerful conversation so far. One is, what does it mean to you now at this stage to be a fit father? What does a fit father mean to you?
So first of all, it's who I am. I'm not in a program. People tell me, oh, you're doing a diet. No, I'm not doing a diet. And I think this is one of the main points. The concept of a diet is something limited in time and intervention to obtain an objective.
Yep.
I am not doing that. What I am doing is saying, look, this is my new way of life. And I have said stop to a lot of things that I was doing in my previous life to make a space to do these other ones. And this is the way that I want to, conduct myself from now on, because I think I'm going to be basically a more valuable human being to me and to the rest of the world, right? So I think that is the main thing.
Yeah, very well said. And my final question for you is, what advice would you give to guys who were kind of where you were at, starting off this program, maybe having a number of obstacles, maybe having a really crappy mindset, or have tried and failed many times? What advice would you give to guys in the early stage of their Fit Father journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing is you're going to fail. Totally fine. Life is like that, right? It's not perfect. The journey is not like that. The journey is like this. But the first thing is be in the Facebook group every day. And especially when you're having a bad day, when you're losing motivation, right there, because we're going to be there to help you. So that's the first thing. Don't disconnect, because if you disconnect also mentally.
Yeah.
Then the second one is the nutrition guide is the most valuable tool. I only used it properly months after, spending more time with it. Third, there is a video from Dr. A where he explains how to do the batch cooking and prepare that so you have all the meals of the week prepped. That's the most important thing. And then finally, with the trainings, just enjoy the ride. First one is going to hurt. Second one is going to hurt less. Third one will hurt more because you will increase your weights. My point is that is so satisfactory because you're just going to be building and building and building and compare against yourself. This is not a race against Arnold Schwarzenegger or whatever. This is a race against you. And the good thing is that if you do it, it just goes straight up. It's impossible not to go that route if you do it.
Wow. Roberto, perfectly said again. I want to thank you for coming on today and sharing all of this. You're an amazing man. I want to say God bless you and your family. I wish you many years of health ahead. And I'm excited to hear about your continued conquests and challenges as you continue to get stronger and stay involved with our community. Thanks for coming on today and sharing everything.
Absolutely. And I just want to thank you for having this vision, for then putting the effort to execute it. And you are changing the life of many people. And you have changed my whole life and my family life. And there is nothing in the world, money, thanks, or anything that I can really do to express what you've done. So yeah, a million thanks.
Thank you, my friend. I mean, just saying that, that's the gift to me. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate that.